Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eunice, and today I want to talk about the Apple controversy. So this morning when I was scrolling through my Twitter, I saw this hashtag Apple controversy, and I looked into it, and it was about the Apple character in The Simpsons. So Harry Kondabolu made a movie about The Simpsons, and especially this character named Apple. And Harry was saying how he thinks this character is portraying a really bad side of Indian people in America. And so he went to talk to the producers and the writers of The Simpsons and asking them, why do you portray Apple like that? And the response from the producer and writers were not really, I would say, sensitive. They basically shrug and respond to it with Lisa character in The Simpsons. And that's what Lisa was saying. And that's what the writer was saying. What I think about it, first I was like, oh, is it my place to talk about it? Because I'm not Indian, so I don't know. But at the same time, I was victim of stereotypes. So I feel like I can say something about it. Think about The Simpsons. I watched The Simpsons. I think it's one of the most popular shows ever. And it's a funny show. It's based on stereotypes. There's stereotypes of everybody. Homer is the stereotype of this white dude, the lazy white dude who drinks, who doesn't do anything. Every character in The Simpsons is a stereotype. So based on that, when I was watching it, I was never taking offense of any character. Or you're gonna get offended for every characters, right? So on that base, and shows like The Simpsons or South Park are like built on these premises of like exaggerating a lot of things. They talk about a lot of things in society that are wrong, but they use stereotypes. And to be honest with you, stereotypes are pretty bad, but they are funny. Like I love about stereotypes about African people, about French people. I love about it because there's a part of truth in them. And we all met stereotypes, right? And it's funny, but it's fine when I would say it's fine if you know the limit of a stereotype, and if you know that a stereotype doesn't mean that everybody from that culture is going to be that stereotype. The thing with Apu, and I've read through all my Twitter feeds, a lot of people from Indian descent growing up in the US felt like growing up it was really hard for them because kids were making fun of them based on the character of Apu, which is totally plausible. I mean, playgrounds can be horrible, kids can be horrible. You're growing up, you're going to school, you're gonna be taunted, you're gonna be bullied. It's horrible, but that's how you grow, and that's what makes you the person you are. And there's a little bit of adversity, but it's most of the time it's fine. You get over it, you grow up. You know, there's cases that are really bad of bullying, and we've all heard stories of bullying that was really pushed to the limit, but most of us, we made it up okay. And to me, where the issue lies is the fact that some stereotypes are not just limited to a TV screen, but for some people, stereotypes in a TV screen is the only thing they're gonna know about a certain culture. So they live in this little town where everybody around them is the same, okay? And so the only strangers they know are through TV, and what they see about strangers is all those stereotypes. So obviously when they're gonna see that stranger in the street, they're gonna think, oh, you are like that person on TV, and that's where it gets a little bit dangerous. The second thing that is serious is the response from The Simpsons creator, and the fact that they were shrugging. It's a little bit like, we don't care about your pain, or get over your offense. And I think it's a really insensitive way of dealing with those kind of things, because to be honest with you, and based on the answers from those producers and writers, they wrote The Simpsons for white people. Because when asked about the fact that Hank Azaria is doing so many different voices, and he's voicing Apu, and when he did the audition, he made this really bad accent of Indian guy, and people were like, yeah, that's what we want. And Hank was like, I don't think that's accurate. Like, it's fine. It makes American people laugh. White American people laugh. That's what we want. So that's how you see that The Simpsons were probably made for white America. And so as long as they're happy with that, it's fine. They're not going to change anything. And I think that's really insensitive. Nowadays, we're talking a lot about race. It's an uncomfortable subject, but we need to go through that. And the worst is like race, the subject of race is uncomfortable for people who invented the word race, right? That's not the black people, that's not the brown people, none of those people invented the word race, right? It was white people who invented the word race to be able to dominate over other people and dehumanize them and treating them like less than nothing. So now we are in this environment where people of colors are speaking up and saying, wait a second, we have been doing that for a very long time, but now you can hear us. We have social media, we have a voice now, and we're saying this is not okay. And I think that's the least of the thing that people can do, to stop and listen and say, okay, we hear you. Obviously, we didn't think it was bad, but now you're saying it. Let's stop and see if we can change something. The word shouldn't be lived and seen just through the white gaze and through the white lens. We are so many different people with so many different cultures, and everybody should have their place. Everybody should be represented in the media in a beautiful way. Harry, like, his intention was really good, and I feel so sad the answer of the producer of Simpson was just like, shrug. But at the same time, I was not really surprised, because people that are born in a privileged situation, they have a hard time putting themselves into someone else's shoes. And why should they? Because if they start doing it, they're gonna have to change. And a lot of people don't want things to change, especially when you're on top. Why do you want things to change to make place for other people? Also, while scrolling through my feed on Twitter, another article caught my eyes, and it was about this 60 minutes program that aired in the US, and where Oprah was talking to this guy who is doing a museum on the story of people in America being lynched, and and the articles say on Twitter that white people are complaining because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And again, people that are complaining about racism, as in like people that are saying like, we talk too much about race, like we should be all colorblind, we should this, we should that, they are white people most of the time. And it makes them uncomfortable because they are not the subject of racism. And even the white people that say that, reverse racism, blah, 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 they don't even understand what racism means and where the word race is coming from, because if they knew, they would not use those terms. But in that segment, in the 60 minutes, Oprah was talking with this guy who's building this museum, and you have all those pictures of people, men and women, being lynched, and it was the Sunday afternoon outings. People was dressed their Sunday best to go see people getting killed. And it's not just killing people, because most of the time they were not being judged, right? It was just like someone accused them of talking to a white woman. Bam! You just need one witness, and you are being lynched. And it's not just being killed, it's the way they were like treating their body afterward, dragging their body after they kill them, cutting their fingers, emasculating them. It was torture, and it's just to show it's part of history, okay? You see pictures with kids 5 years old, 10 years old, 16 years old, seeing that and seeing like with big smile, and it was the entertainment of back in the days. And those kids are the ones in power right now in the US, are the adults right now, and they grew up with that idea that black people are less than nothing, that people that don't have the same color as you are less than nothing, worse than animals, and if you don't confront that idea, if you don't challenge those ideas, they're never going to change, because that's the way they grew up, right? It's the way it was. It was just like, 50 years ago? Not even. Like, it was just yesterday. And yes, we come a long way, but there's still mentalities to be changed, And when you see that for such a long time, treating people that have not the same color as you as animals, worse than animals, was seen as entertainment. It was just 50 years ago. And it's ingrained now in some mentalities that we don't have to care about their feeling. They're not even humans, like whatever, you know? And I think that that's a heritage, that's a bad heritage as a lot of people have, whether they want it or not, because it was ingrained in the culture. And I have to be aware that this is the heritage that they have, and have to get rid of that and start changing the way they're thinking. But they have to be confronted with the truth. And you know what they say, history is written by the winners, and a lot of our history books don't talk about the atrocities that have happened, you know, under cover of race. But now more and more it's happening, it's out there, and yes, people should feel uncomfortable, and more than uncomfortable, you know, like it's only when you're uncomfortable that you can grow. It's not when you stay comfortable and nothing is happening in your life. You have to be able to get challenged. Racism is a disease, and when you're sick, you don't just say, oh, it will get better, just like yeah, the sickness was yesterday, now it's another day, let's move on. You don't do that. You sit down, you think about your symptoms, you go see the doctor is going to do some tests, and then he's going to prescribe you some medicine, and you're going to take the medicine, and you're going to take the time to heal, you're going to rest, you're going to take a break from work, you're going to take the time to heal. And racism is the same thing. We can't just shrug it off and like be like, it's gonna be gone just with beautiful sentiment and beautiful feelings. No, we have to take the time to have the uncomfortable discussion, and we have to take the time to heal. And to heal, you have to go through the pain and through the wound and open the wound, and for everybody to see this is what happened, and then we're gonna talk about how to mend that. But we need to work all together to do that, and it's not just the people of color. We just have to be like, hey, this is what's happening. We both have to work together to find a solution. And yes, it's an extreme example in the case of the Apple controversy, even though, to be honest with you, lynching is still prevalent to this day. It just has changed a little bit. It's mass incarceration, and it's black people getting killed by the police. But still, at the core of it is the fact that white people that live in privilege don't acknowledge the fact that they live in privilege, and so therefore they have integrated some thoughts about people that are different than them, and they treat them as, no, like, just, you're off, like, you feel offended? No, it doesn't matter because you're less than human. And it's a harsh truth. It is a harsh truth to admit to yourself that, whoa, like, this is how I think deep down. The goal here is not to make anybody feel guilty, because those are the error of the past, you know. But our role here and our goal is to make up for that and trying to change, you know, to educate ourselves and change. And I think that one of the first steps towards change is to be able to listen to people and heal their pain. And that's what the creator of Simpson didn't do well. I don't really have any issue with the stereotypes, because, to be honest with you, some stereotypes are funny, okay? But the issue lies in the fact that the answer was really insensitive, and that's where the problem is. And I'm so glad to live in a moment in time in history where people are speaking up, where there's Black Lives Matter, where Me Too movement, and all those young kids in the US protesting against gun violence. It's everything that's happening right now is to change the status quo and to change everything that was, all the ideas that we had from so many years ago, and there was some people were comfortable with them. But now a lot of people are saying, wait a second, actually we're not comfortable with that. And their voice is growing, and they are joined with a lot of other people. And I think it's time for the privileged to look at themselves and be able to say, wait a second, yes, I am privileged. And because I am privileged, I am blind to some other people's pain. And I should just shut up when someone is telling me that's painful, that's insensitive, that's racist. These stereotypes is really hurting me. I think the least that people can do is like, okay, I'm ready to listen to you. I'm ready to try to put myself in your shoes. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody who's crying wolf is right, you know? Like, I think sometimes stereotypes, racism are different things, you know? but I think that everybody should be able to voice when they feel pain, and we should be able to hear them and move forward and try to help them and move forward for unity. Okay, that was my reaction on the Apple controversy. I just hope that it's not going to be the only controversy out there. I feel like we as people, we have the power to make big companies and media's entertainment, we have the power to make them feel accountable, and we should use our power, we should use our voice to say, hey, nah, that's not right, what you're doing, it's not right, and you should listen to us. So that was all for me today. Leave something in the comments what you think about this controversy. Do you think that it's a great time we're living right now, even though it seems like crazy, but at least we can talk about a lot of things, and I feel like a lot of things at least seems to move forward. What do you think about that? Leave something in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and to like and to spread the message and spread the love. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.